Yeah, where I am doing design, so you call
So,
me.
Greg, are you up live? Okay, here we go. 3, 2, welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I am your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, David Hall,
Is this really a usual turnout?
Greg Hectus,
I think I'm here.
Bobby Jonas,
I think I have Greg's weather.
and Brad Wren.
Still recovering from the 24.
Donnie Spiker,
What's happening, fellas?
John Curley,
Hello, iRacers.
Justin Pearson,
Oh, what up, my friends?
William Westbrook.
Hey guys, I came back.
All right, and special guest Bryant Lucas. Welcome.
Howdy.
Forgot about Tony.
Yeah, you forget about me. I know it's been a while since I've been on here.
Sorry, I didn't see your camera, Tony. Oh, everyone else is on camera but Tony. Yes, Tony Rochette. Welcome back. Thanks, bud. On today's show, we will recap our Daytona 24 weekend, discuss more stewarding drama, see how close Max thinks sim racing is to reality, a content update for NASCAR 2025. Does sim racing have a blind spot? See what new hardware Moza has introduced, and where is the eNASCAR 2025 roster information?
That's right, Mike. And remember that you can follow along with us on your PC or your mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all of the great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com. Select the show notes. We hope to see you there.
All right, well, as you heard, we have a special guest currently sitting in my car on the track at Daytona. Bryant Lucas is a friend through Mad Sim Racing and into the Apex podcast, which are also out here. And I had been telling them that I was coming down this weekend and was wanting to camp my car in one of the spots, and he had a spot and only a tent. So that's where we are. His tent's behind the car, and my bed is right there because I'm little and fit in my car. So welcome, Bryant.
It's good to be here. It's really exciting to meet a lot of guys. Sorry if I give you a penalty during the majors. I promise it wasn't my fault.
I'm sure you do better than the main iRacing stewards. We have a few topics about that to talk about later. All right, so what brought you into iRacing? How'd you hear about it?
I had been on NASCAR Heat 5 for a very long time. I actually ran one of the biggest leagues on NASCAR Heat 5 called Light Year Racing League. I had 13 series over the 7 minutes. We had a race every single night of the week. And all of a sudden, the NASCAR Heat 5 servers went down. So 8 of our 13 series shut down for about a month or a month and a half. While the wonderful people at Motorsports Games didn't pull their head out of their ends and never got it fixed. So during that time, I said, screw it. I'm going to iRacing. And, started racing on iRacing. And once you start iRacing, you don't stop because, well, let's be honest, console simulators suck. Just straight up. So that's really what got me into it was I kind of got pushed over there because I was on consoles a lot. And what got me into the console stuff was my brother got COVID. And so right when he got COVID, I said, I think I'll buy a wheel and stuff and see if this sticks. And then ever since then, Lightyear started 2 weeks after I got my wheel. And then Lightyear Racing started, and then I became owner. So, yeah.
All right, they're telling me through the chat that they're not hearing you very well. Are you hearing me fairly well, but not him?
Hear you
Yes.
fine.
Okay, try now. Let me see if
Is that better? Hello.
Can you hear him now?
Is that better?
Does he sound
Not
any
really.
better?
Different.
Okay. All right, you're just gonna have to yell.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. So, continuing on, we're literally going through my car right now. So that's what the microphone is. Next question is, which series do you normally run?
Mostly just leagues, honestly. I don't usually run a ton of iRacing officials. If I do run an official, it's NIS or special events.
Ah, okay. What type of hardware do you use?
I have the Logitech Pro wheel and pedals.
Cool. Do you use any software or gear? Third party? Race Labs. All right. Monitors or VR?
Monitor.
Monitor. I went through that for a couple of weeks. So all right. And are you a part of any teams?
Like sim teams?
Yeah.
Oh, Mad Sim Racing, Lucas Sim Sport, all the ones underneath the Lightyear umbrella, of course, and then there's a couple other in there. But
Cool. All right. If y'all probably remember Mad Sim is where Cody Richardson and all them are from, and the Beeman twins. All right. And you just mentioned the league. So what's that? You've been telling me about the main league that you run with.
yeah, Chop Shop, they're a great league because they run so many different series, and it's really fun because you always use the same guys, and the stewarding's amazing. So.
All right. And do you have a most memorable moment in iRacing?
Either my Daytona 500 win or the 24 Hours of Le Mans win. Those are definitely the most memorable. Not to brag, but those are the ones that hit me the most.
Yeah, we've yet to win in an endurance. We've got a lot of 500 wins. That's kind of our right. All right. Well, Bryant is going to stay with us for the whole show and chime in anytime he wants, and we'll jump on to topics. Okay, our first topic. Boy, how many of us want to gripe about this one? A guy got busted for basically bump drafting LMP with his LMP2 car, other GT3 cars, basically trying to, I guess, to help people he wanted drive better, right? He was giving them a speed boost essentially instead of trying to win. And he got suspended for it right before the Daytona 24, but he won the appeal, and they told him, just don't do it again.
Yeah, and it's not just anybody. It's Dawson Cram, who apparently is a Xfinity driver of some type. And the way he got this overturned was on X. He actually called out Dale Jr. and Steve Myers on Twitter, basically saying, "Hey, this is messing me up for the 24. I practiced, and now I can't run the race." Complaining. And sure enough, a day or two later, he's on social media bragging again about how iRacing overturned his penalty after he begged on social media to Dale Jr. to let him race.
Well,
This is the biggest bullshit call they've ever made.
yeah, Junior, did retweets that he had nothing to do with it, but again, it's ridiculous. It's complete manipulation. Should not have been overturned, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a pretty awful call. And if I was in that race and got by that guy and he only passed me again because he was getting bump drafted by an LMP3, I'd be pretty upset.
So does this beg the question, guys, is this because of who he is? Like, if it was me who did this on Twitter, would I be the one getting it turned, undone?
Absolutely not.
Nope.
I guarantee you they wouldn't overturn an appeal for me because I pulled over back when we had the really long cautions at Pocono. All right, because I pulled over and rejoined the field, and I appealed saying, "Hey, I didn't know this was against the rules. It doesn't say, and so give me a warning, and I'll never do it again." And they're like, "Nope, we never give warnings for this. We punish people for it all." And then they turned around, and I protested another guy the week later for the same thing. Guess what? He didn't get suspended. They are full of shit. The protest system is a joke. Sorry.
You're good. I think part of the problem is there's so many different protesting officials, and I know a bunch of people have done it, and they're not directly involved. They're like the iRacers, and it's inconsistent because of the people that are doing it, and there's never multiple parties. From my point of view, from what I've been explained, the system how it works.
I ended up, replying to Dawson Cram quite disappointing in iRacing to laying over on what is clearly a violation of the spirit of the rules.
I got a couple of Dawson Cram hero cards over here lying on my floor. I should put them up on eBay right now. Strike while there and it's hot.
Probably ought to just throw them at somebody.
Look, it's one thing if you're pushing somebody in your own class, even if it's, oh, we're just tightly bump drafting or whatever it is. It's totally different when you have one class that's faster pushing a slower class that's slower. That's BS.
Especially if you're not trying to win the race, like it's a sprint race, and either he was out of it or he was just there trying to help a friend. So, anybody else have anything additional for that one before we move on? All right. Next up, a little bit more positive news. 300,000 subscribers. What do you think, Brad?
Yeah, so we had a post on X from Steve Myers. Says, we have an email that's been running since 2008. And it sends new signups and members totals every 3 hours. As it used to be called the Stephen O. Bug Me, because Chris Page was sick of me texting him asking for the numbers. So he said, hard to believe, but I just got our first 300K active member email. So 300 active, I guess 300 active memberships is the number that they have surpassed.
Yeah, pretty cool. I've been like people at work who ask me about iRacing or something. I usually say, well, I'm just racing with 250,000 of my closest friends, but now I can say it's 300,000. That's a lot. I mean,
Okay.
does it change the dynamic at all when you increase the numbers? I mean, I think we all agree that it has, but as it creeps up even more, I mean, are we going to expect any other changes?
Stewarding to get worse.
You know what? I have a title idea. Make iRacing great again.
iRacing is great, except for the stewarding. All right. We were talking about it. I did a show for Bryant just earlier. We kind of said the same thing. We love most of iRacing, or we wouldn't be doing it. But the processing system is just frustrating. All right. What wasn't frustrating though was our finish in the race this weekend, Mike.
Yeah, I thought we would talk about our race a little bit. We got a podium. Very proud to get a third place finish in the 24. We were in the Cadillac GTD, and I had a good stint. I didn't wreck it. No, I don't know if anybody did on our team, but when I got the car, we were in third, and I was able to keep it in third. So I don't know about everybody else's race, but it was good for us. I'm very proud of it.
Did you guys have any rain?
Not a drop.
Well, we had almost 12 hours of it, so it was absolutely miserable.
So did we.
Yeah.
Not quite sure how 25% forecast turns into 12 hours of rain.
It's random.
That's beyond random.
And it's Florida.
No, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. There's no reason to have 12 hours of rain.
Well, if it can turn into 0 hours of rain, can it turn into 12 hours? Like, it's 25%, it can be 0. It can be 50% rain, right? 12 hours.
If I look at the forecast for the weekend and it says 25% chance of rain, I don't expect it to rain for half the day.
That doesn't add up in Florida.
Yeah, I don't know how well it models Florida rain, but you could have a 10% chance of rain and then have rain all day.
I could have handled a shower. That and the forecast didn't show any rain until late in the morning, like middle of the night, and it started raining. We were 4 or 5 hours into the race. It started raining.
Now, to be clear, our team was on a different start or a different event than the rest of y'all. You started on a different time than we did.
Correct.
That's why there's a difference in weather amongst the team. But look, if we all started at the same time, we would have had the same weather, right?
Yeah, no, I get that. It's just again, there's you plan for the forecast and you look at the forecast, and there was literally no rain until late or very early morning, late night, early morning, and sim time was what 1 o'clock. I think Tom got in the car. He was the third driver, so we're 5 hours in, and it's raining.
Yeah, I'm with Brad. It's just insane. I understand there's different forecasts or different chances of rain for the different time slots, but to have zero rain and then half the race of rain is just insane to me.
All right, next up we have an X post, and this might go along with what happened to our other GTP team, but we've got a turn one, lap one incident. Tell us about this one, Donnie.
Yeah, Steel Horse Live posted a video to his Twitter, basically of lap one carnage. He's pretty loud throughout the video, so if you click it, you're going to hear him. Maybe a little bit of breathing in the background too, but yeah, looks like he's through possibly the infield section here, getting taken out on lap one of a 24-hour race. So that's always fun.
Yeah, side by side through the kink there, Donnie, and that put him into the grass, and then he ended up going the wrong way after the carousel.
Our second GTP team went through something similar, but on the second lap, leading, he set the pole. Grand Speed set the pole, didn't, and this guy just torpedoed him on the second lap. I think in the horseshoe, and that was immediately put him behind the 8 ball, and then we were basically a bumper car for the rest of the race.
Yeah, it's frustrating for sure. I mean, it happens. Unfortunately, people just I don't get it. I'll never understand it.
Who knows? Maybe that other team that torpedoed us deserves a lifetime ban from iRacing.
Well, it's just again, you got to keep it in perspective. It's not a 45-minute race. Even if I give up positions, I'm going to give up positions because we got 24 hours to do this.
Yeah. All right. So Mad Max Sim Racing Edition. He got 2 40-second penalties for unsafe driving during entering the pit lane. Did you see this one, John?
Yes, I did. And I assume this was in the Daytona 24. It didn't really say, but yeah, you can see this guy's a competitor, because if you watch this little clip, he gets angry. I mean, he's taking this personally that he's got a penalty. You can read his lips. But even the best guys mess up sometimes, I suppose.
That wheel is not surviving.
Owen, thank you for the tier 1.
So, is it where he went down to pit, where you get off of the track and come onto pit road? I think what happened is he came down too early onto the apron. Is that what gave him the penalty? Or
I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine you come down too early. I don't know if it was a speeding. I mean, I can see, certain tracks where your pit entry, you got the entry line, and if you come in late, so you enter pit road once you pass the entry line, then you end up with the penalty. But I can't. I don't see that happening at Daytona.
You could enter too early if you cut through 4, I think, because it'll consider you cutting the apron.
that's what I'm getting at. I think it was something like that, or he maybe touched the grass, getting onto pit road or something.
Yeah, that's possible too.
Yeah, I got my team a penalty because it was after one of the rain periods, and I didn't account for the apron still being pretty wet, and locked it up and took a ride through the trioval grass. That might be a way he did it.
Or waited very late to come in.
Right.
And he's hot. I mean, and look, we all understand. We've done it. There's nothing worse than racing, and then you time your pit stops, and then when you sit there for an additional 40 seconds, it's miserable.
He's having a rough start to the year. Granted, it's sim racing. He's had some incidents already, but we'll see how it continues on.
Well, we have a controversy from, I guess, one of the top splits as well, right? We're calling it Uncrash Gate, William.
Yeah, so I'm kind of sad this is out here now because I don't know how iRacing, without it being recorded, is going to police this. But apparently, one of the winners of the Top Split 24 in the GTP was going to go off and take some pretty significant damage, but instead they just alt F4, closes the game, and all that does is make it to where it looks like you lose connection. You get the tow, but you don't have to take the damage. So, like I said, I'm kind of scared for the future and how this is going to go.
Yeah, this was Ferrari Esports, so this was a big team.
And so
this was
iRacing
not
ended up
Max's
doing.
team, was it?
No.
Sorry. I was going to say iRacing did the right thing here as far as stewarding goes. They disqualified this team post race, and then promoted Grid and Go Esports to the to the third place finish after they were removed from the standings.
How quickly can you guys hit Alt F4?
You can bind it
pretty quick if you have it set to a button on a keypad.
So that's most likely what they had, right? That was
Right.
a predetermined deal.
Oh, absolutely.
He said it wasn't premeditated, but there's no way it wasn't.
So oops, I slipped and hit this while I was going off the track.
So in real life, there's about 4 things you can't touch in NASCAR without getting a really serious ban. And they're pretty well known in the garage. I feel like this would be one of them that probably deserves a longer penalty than just being disqualified, more like a suspension.
Yeah, this interrupts the whole sim, that we enjoy. This just throws a wrench into it. Unnecessarily.
We don't. I don't think we know that he didn't get penalized, though, Bobby. iRacing didn't announce anything about this at all publicly.
Well, then that's a mistake. This needs to be a almost public execution at this point. Because if you want to stop it dead in its tracks, you need to make a severe penalty out of it.
Well, iRacing's poster, they have a different team winner.
Well, if you notice, I thought that was VCO that posted that up, actually, not iRacing.
It was
Correct.
VCO and iRacing.
Oh, yeah. And I think what happened is if you just go look at the results, iRacing changed the results page. And that's how people knew and then talked about it.
Yeah, and the guy that did it also put an apology out on Twitter. So, it's fairly well known.
But at some point, you've got to make an example of somebody.
Right.
Right. Because it's top split, we're all talking about it because it was on social media, because it was top split. But what if it's 7th split or 8th split, or nobody really cares? I mean, we need to do something about it there too, don't we?
Well, yeah, and I think we talked in the chat. I mean, how do you identify it? That's the issue. I mean, a perfect example, our race, Justin's in the car, and Justin, I think, what was it, midway through your first stint, and game just locked up on you, and he just just disappears completely, and I mean, I don't know how anything can be recognized differently, but I mean, he had to, would you have to shut down, reboot, and everything?
Yeah, I did a quick restart and jumped back in.
I'd imagine there's a way they could log what's getting done on the server side. Like you would have to hit on the keystroke, right?
But you can look at what the car was doing before the crash happened. Like, are you driving down the straightaway or are you wiping out?
Well, and that's the other thing too, is I think somebody on the forum said, why don't you just send a replay of what happened to you? And if your game crashed, then, or if you hit the F4, you wouldn't have a replay.
Is there ever a right time to do all F4?
But let's be honest, what are the odds of your computer crashing the moment that you avoided damage from an accident?
Well, I mean, I think we all know the Alt F4 gets used for rage quitting, but I think the issue is not only did the Alt F4, they then came back in. If you rage quit, it's one thing, but you don't come back in and just get back in the car after taking your tow penalty.
I'm fine.
There's some guys in over races.
And block it.
There's some guys in over races that there's some guys in over races that do it if it's been a long green flag run and they don't want to be the guy that brought the caution out. They don't come back.
That's my
point.
That's
what I was going to say to Justin. Sometimes people do it like as a courtesy, like, oh, I'm wrecking and the field's coming around and I don't want to bring out the caution, so I'm going to get out of here before I mess up everybody's race.
Yeah, but but even if you do that, you're still artificially changing the race, though.
Yeah. I guess that's where I was getting at, and then now there's a big gray area for iRacing too.
Because I mean, if you crash, that's part of racing. The yellow comes out. It is what it is. So to me, you're still artificially changing the race.
What if I take a power strip. I plug all the equipment into the power strip, and I have the little power strip button next to me racing, and I'm about to wreck, and I hit the power strip button.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing, Mike. Is it's going to take you longer to reboot your computer than them just F4ing and then hopping right back in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is any different than a lag switch that we used to have years ago.
Yeah, well, they still have them.
I'm sure they do.
It's evident with some of the people the way they blink and the timing of the blinking.
So there's a similarity in sim racing and real racing, in that people will find every edge they can, right? What other similarities does Max say there are, Donnie?
Yeah, so this was a tweet by Team Redline, and it's just Max. Actually, in an interview, they have a clip of it, or him talking with somebody about the similarities between real racing and sim racing. This one I was pretty shocked to hear him say. I mean, he just basically says it's 95% comparable to real racing. It was good to hear. I don't know if that's like 100% like his thought, but that's what came out of his mouth. He says the only thing obviously you don't feel are the obvious, the G-forces, all that stuff. But to hear him say the sim is 95% spot on is pretty interesting.
Yeah, that was really neat to hear. The other thing that caught me was he said, quote, "These motion rigs, they are slower." And alluding to the fact that he doesn't race with motion. He's in a static rig, and he, point blank said, motion rigs are slower.
And he said that's how you're faster in the sim as opposed to real life as well, basically, because you're static. You're in a fixed position.
So does that settle that discussion once and for all when, we get Max, the king of racing on both sides, really, answering the question?
I think the motion just turns into an immersion thing versus an actual tool. I mean, if you look at the high end simulators, the DILs, I mean, they're motion, so that's what they're trying to recreate. And but I just don't think you're going to be able to get the same thing in in my bedroom that I can get, in a driver and loop simulator.
And the thing too, as we move forward with technology and speed, that gap and why they're slower is going to close. So while they may be slower right now, we will eventually start to close that gap.
Well, I was going to say, I think for somebody who is a real racer, I don't think a motion is going to it's going to probably mess you up more than anything else, because again, when there's movement and you're a professional race car driver, you understand how you feel and how the thing moves, and I just don't think it's going to relate enough to where I think it'd be actually more confusing for Max to get into a motion rig than it would be for him just to get into a static rig.
And in fairness too, the other thing to that is there are different kinds of motion rigs and how they move, and that could easily affect the perceived feel too.
All right, Justin, the next one's a quick hit. We got another lap one hero.
Yeah. Mike Ross put on Facebook, and it's got this, forgive me if I'm wrong, this is a GTP flying through here in the first turn. I think he wipes out 2 or 3 people and steps on it himself, then takes out another guy. This is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's the start of the race, dude. And right at the line, he takes it 4 wide on the apron.
There really needs to be a category added to the protest system called "This driver's stupid."
They need to protest things with scale too. Like, they probably just gave him a warning because this was his first time. Like, stuff like this need to be an instant ban, a punch in the face.
Look, 3 wide on a start is one thing. 4 wide on a start is another, but 4 wide on the apron is another.
All right, tell us about the numbers, John.
Yeah, so we have the Daytona numbers in, the official numbers from iRacing on participation in 24 hours of Daytona. massive numbers. 23,397 iRacers entered the race, which iRacing says this was the largest sim racing event in the world. 2,915,000 laps, 89,000 hours of racing. Can you imagine? I mean, that's, we talked about 300,000 members now. This is what you get when you got that many members, man. It's big time participation.
Yeah, I'm going to go run a race
Almost 3
tonight
million
with
laps.
23,000 of my friends.
I mean, if you think about
All
it,
right.
that's what, 7.5%, 8% of all iRacers were in this.
Yeah.
That's a good
Am I-
percentage.
All right, Mike, tell us about this next line. We have the question that Brad put in there is this a problem? And it's a forum topic saying something about Daytona 24 team behavior.
Yeah, that's right. And it's basically a post from Thomas Hebrig saying, is this fair to teams who started the first start of the 24, wreck out, and decide to race in the next start of the 24, or race in multiple events throughout the weekend? If there's 4 or 5, however many, they race in 2 or more of them. He's saying that's not fair, that teams and drivers should be limited to the one that they enter. If they get wrecked, they should just have to ride it out. And the idea behind it was by the end of the race, a good 30% of the teams were gone.
So if we wreck out in the first hour, how does that change that when we get to the end of the race, 30 or 40% of the teams are still gone?
Trying to figure out what's not fair about it.
Well, I think his thought is if they don't have the ability to go into another split, they'll just go ahead and finish the current split that they're in start time.
Right. And I think he also thinks they might be less aggressive because they have the chance to enter another time slot if they start the first one.
It's solid logic, that part of it. I'm gonna be real aggressive at the start and see if we can not get wrecked, and be in touch with the leader. But if we lose a lap or two, hey, let's just bail and get into the next start and try again.
Since when has logic ever worked with sim racers?
It's also going to be really tough to do logistically because are you going to do it by driver or by team? Right?
If you do it by team, they'll just create another team. And if you do it by driver, that screws over drivers like me that run 3 different teams during the 24. And so there's not really a good way to do this.
So the next guy in the forum, K.L. Hornford, he said he went and looked, and for example, only 15% of GT3 drivers and teams took 2 or more starts in the 24 this weekend.
So they're not. What that probably indicates is they're not leaving because they can go to another split. They're leaving because they don't want to drive around 50 laps behind.
Right. I think in all time slots, it was, a 30% attrition rate. And just because people, if you don't have a chance to improve your position, why do you keep racing after a really hard race? It's, 18, 20 hours, 24 hours.
That part I'd agree with for sure.
All right, William, tell us about the Daytona 24 feedback topic here.
So this guy made a post giving feedback about what he thought could make the 24 hours better, and it was a long list, so I'm not going to go through it all. But it was some of the same things we already talked about, as far as trying to find ways to make teams not quit out early and go to a second split, which we might not agree with. But there's some other stuff in here. At one point, he talks about damage repair, and he thinks that we should be able to choose, what we can repair and what we can't, and maybe make the repair times longer, but we choose what we repair. So if a repair is 45 minutes, but I don't want to repair my front bumper, that takes 6 minutes off. Not sure I agree with that or not, but He had some ideas for some new cameras that you can already do. If you look farther down in the forums, you can already make custom cameras. He talks about the driver etiquette, which I mean that's always a topic here. He said the tires felt great, and he wants some more ambiance from iRacing. You know, maybe a video at the beginning, gentlemen start your engine, some AI stuff afterward. Some really couple strange ideas, and some that might be all right.
One of those
the
was
repair thing doesn't make a whole lot of sense because if you've got required repairs, if you can't, that means you got to do this just for the car to be drivable again.
Right.
And then you do
wasn't
have
a fan.
optional repairs.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that idea for sure.
one of them was do the fireworks at 11 p.m. like they do at the real race. Just a little touch.
Yeah, that was under the ambiance section, stuff like that.
Full course cautions was listed under the strategy section. I think and there were other threads on the forums asking for full course cautions at this point. Now that we have rain and everything else, it's time, isn't it? Is it time?
Yeah,
I think so.
I just think I got to figure out the best way to implement it. It can't be because of a wrecked car. I mean, I would opt for some sort of randomness to it. Whether it's I think I saw some people talking about, if there's a certain threshold of instance that gets reached in the lobby, do you do something then? But yeah, I just, again, I think there's something needs to be done to where it needs to come in because it would help with some strategy.
David likes the majors, I think. Is that your idea?
Yeah, the major system is I think the best option because it's not, instead of random cautions, it's if a car has to be towed. So it's not for every random spin, but if a car has to be towed, which is kind of how it works in real life, because we just watched the MX5 race a little bit earlier here on site, and they would hold a flag unless a car just couldn't get out of the way, right? And the same thing even during the live qualifying, there was a car that was stuck in turn one, and so they had to throw the red flag.
What if you kind of combine the two, where you have if somebody tows or a certain number of X's within a certain number of seconds?
Yeah, the tow thing bothers me because, I mean, Lord, you could just be back to back. I mean, you know how it is.
It could be manipulated by, this team member is going to, quote, tow because the other guy needs a caution.
Yeah, but I mean, he's right, though. It would bring out a yellow in real life.
Yeah, there's already software
intentional
out there.
cautions is something they will actually enforce.
And with the majors, they do it in a certain way to where if it's within a certain amount of period of time, they block out so you can't have cautions. So like if you have 2 cautions within 30 minutes, you can't have a caution for another hour.
Yeah, but it's a live stewarded event, and we don't have that in iRacing.
Yeah, there is software out there that will do in your hosted sessions anyway. That'll do the threshold. So if you have 18x within 8 seconds or whatever, there's already software out there to do that.
How about no more towing? No more towing. You sit there until an actual tow truck comes and gets you, sucks you up, and then drags you away. I mean, come on. How much longer?
I don't know. I think it's needed because again, it would definitely help. It gets it's miserable when you do get laps down. There's no options to try to get anything back, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
They're going to have to fix the in-game stewarding that lines everybody up as well, though. To do that, they got to get that knocked out first, including having the different classes start separately.
We're probably asking for too much then.
You would have to teach a lot of drivers.
All right, next. Not sure I want a rescan. What is this one about, Brad?
Yeah, this is a post on X from Citrus. So as everybody knows, after the accident, was it last year or year before? When was it? Last year. Ryan Priest went through the backstretch. They took all the grass out. When they did that, they actually made some modifications to the bus stop or the Le Mans chicane, and it doesn't look good. It's I don't like it. From what I've heard, the drivers, there's been some discussion this week. It's much rougher, and the concern is when you run too wide. But it just looks funky. I don't know. They need to put some sponsorship, paint something on the ground, do something. It doesn't look good.
Definitely paint it. They got to do something kind of like what Charlotte does on their backstretch, but That bottom looks like a parking lot. Looks like an '80s IndyCar race in some parking lot somewhere. Just doesn't look good.
Yeah, they got to paint it like a F1 track where the off track is all some color, just make it green, make it look like grass or something.
I don't know why they didn't just do the AstroTurf like they did at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The cars go through that just fine. Why don't we put that at Daytona?
Difference in speed. Here at Daytona, you're going a lot faster through there.
So, do we need a rescan just because they removed the grass? I mean,
I'm sure we'll get it though.
this is a big track for iRacing. They just had the biggest event in sim racing history on this track, and it's out of date technically.
The asphalt's aged enough in real life to where it probably does warrant a rescan anyways. It would probably help some of the racing on sim.
When was the last rescan? Do you know, Bobby?
Was it
I'd
18?
have to look at the set. I think that sounds about right.
18? That was a long time ago.
That's crazy when you actually think about how long ago that was.
And the summers,
Well, yeah.
the summers are brutal to the surface here.
All right, next up, Mike. We finally got some information about the Pro Series, the Coke Series. It looks like.
Yeah, all the drivers met in Charlotte for the eNASCAR Media Day, so they could get video and whatnot of everybody for the broadcast stuff. And we got a group picture posted that everybody in the picture. I still haven't seen an actual list of names. Like, I don't know. I can recognize some of these people because I've been watching most of these guys race, but some of them are new and I don't know the names yet. Why we don't know a simple list, a roster? I mean, who's on what team? There's nothing out there that I've seen. But yeah, it looks like they had fun.
Do you think?
Yeah, I was gonna say I just went to the actual website, and here we are, 2 weeks away, and it's still coming soon.
Do you think it's to not draw the attention to them being not the top 40?
There's some strategy to it that I'm not a fan of, but yeah, I don't know what they're trying to do.
All right. Is Greg at a seat? No, he's not at the moment, is he? Because this one would be a good. This is one of his favorite cars. Donnie, tell us about the wobbly windshield wiper.
We got a post in the forums. Basically, many of us are missing out on the best feature of the Season 1 2025 build, wobbly windshield wipers. They said, look at the glorious wobbly windshield wipers. Unfortunately, this feature only works when you have the driver arms visible. Have you guys experienced it yet?
Oh, no, it's just with the Australian supercars.
Supercars,
but,
yeah.
But my frustration is, why is it linked to the driver's arms? If we're modeling the fluid dynamics of air and all that stuff, why are we animating this based off the driver's arms?
Here's the wind sim. That's where it comes in.
We need a wind sim in iRacing. We need wind physics.
We have wind physics. We have draft. Again, why are we modeling off the arms? That makes no sense to me.
Well, wait. So he turns the wheel left, and the thing wiggles, right? And he turns it to the right, and it wiggles. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So if I turn left, it's going to go to the right. And if I turn right, it's going to go to the left. But if I slow down, it ought to not move as much. If I speed it up, it ought to. I mean, what a cheap blank way to do something.
Is it wobbling because of physics, because of the way the car is turning off center?
No, it's wobbling because of the way that the arms go. So again, it's based off the driver's arms, but it only works if you have the arms visible in the sim.
Okay, yeah.
Who drives with the arms moving? I have arms I'm looking at right here.
I don't even have them on, and I'm in VR. I have the wheel, but not the arms. Or do I? I don't remember. I might have them on. I don't think I do, though.
So it's essentially a non-issue. Don't drive with your arms on.
I think from an immersion standpoint, it's neat. I think it would be helpful. But again, it's It should be linked to something other than the arms of the driver.
There's a video somewhere here, but I couldn't find it. But when you watch the video, yeah, it looks pretty slick. The way it looks like the wind is buffering it, moving it about.
So, Brad,
I mean,
are you saying that your demand is that iRacing not make it linked to the arms?
That's my demand, I guess. We did have
What about this other guy's demands?
Yeah, we had a video here from I think this is Nebon 5 saying iRacing, I demand these to be free, and he kind of goes to this whole list about tracks and the amount of oval tracks that are free and the amount of short tracks that are free, but there's no intermediate tracks that are free. I think we talked about this in the chat, and I said I want to talk about this on the pod because I don't agree with him at all. It makes no sense to me to take and make, he talks about like Chicagoland, and he talks about some of the tracks that aren't used as much, like Legacy Kentucky. Well, the reason that most of the short tracks are free is because that's the rookie series tracks. You're starting in a rookie car, you're going to be at a short track. That makes perfect sense to me. There's not a rookie car that's going to be running on a 1.5 mile oval. I'm not sure why. It just I don't understand the logic behind anything that he did in here. I really don't.
No, it really doesn't make sense. I think that's like, and even the smaller tracks, I really think they take less work as well to put into the game. Bigger tracks, they are very expensive to put in that game. Think about how much money they had to spend on Nürburgring just to be able to put everything together and make everything work right.
and so is he really just saying, Brad, that the oval guys that come in as rookies aren't getting enough love?
Well, it's just they're tracks that aren't used as much. So like Chicagoland, the first version, I guess, of Kentucky. They're tracks that they really aren't that don't fit anywhere. So you might as well make them free. Well, again, my issue is if he goes through this whole thing where he's got all the tracks and he marks out all the road ones and he marks out all the short ovals and stuff like that. But again, if the bulk of that stuff is free, because again, you want somebody to get into the service, they have to start at the rookie level. You don't jump on to Lowe's Motor Speedway as or Charlotte as your first, as a rookie track. You just don't.
It's progression based.
Yeah. Again, it just I don't know. I don't.
So, but there's no series using those tracks. No, tell me what series is using the first one of Charlotte?
Nobody. So he's that's part of his premise too. Is well, nobody uses them, so you might as well make it free. Well, they do get rolled out every when we hit the December time and there's no NASCAR. What do? We go to all the legacy stuff. I don't know. It's just I don't like someone demanding something.
Is it going to confuse rookies who come in who have content that nobody races, or it's not available to race on because unless you're an AI? That's my concern with it.
And in my opinion, once you make something free, it's hard to put a price tag back on it again. What if it comes back to life and it's a main track again? They're not making any more money.
It just
is that ever going to happen?
No, but it doesn't fit the progression. He's right. It doesn't make sense to put a track that you're not going to run in a rookie series in a free spot for rookie series.
All right, moving on. Let's talk console NASCAR 2025. John Curley, what do you got?
Yeah, this was an Instagram post from iRacing talking about the NASCAR 25 console game coming out. And I took this as maybe an announcement that they're going to have all 4 series, the Cup Series, Xfinity, Craftsman, and the Arkham Nard series. So, going to have them all in there for everybody to run.
I'm hoping this applies to us, meaning that the new ARCA shows up soon, because I'm assuming they'll have it for the console game. Hopefully, we get it as well.
I would assume it's coming. My understanding is, I guess, again, I'm not a console person, so this absolutely just I have no desire for any of it. But I guess you're going to end up having to, from what I've seen on social media, you're going to have to progress, through the ranks. I guess up, start in ARCA and like the old, I guess what, Dirt to Daytona or whatever it was. So you're gonna have to progress through the ranks But again, I'm not a console guy, so as I've said before, the only thing that I'm looking forward to because of this is we're supposed to get new content on iRacing, so that's the only benefit that I see.
They'll get a garage and trophy room before I do.
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of thinking they're going to do a garage and a trophy room for the console. Does that open it up? So, we need to put this in iRacing too.
Why?
Why not?
Well,
also,
before we go on to the next topic, or did you have some more, Mike?
I do. Steve Myers also tweeted out today and yesterday, I think, about asking all these teams from these 4 different series, teams and drivers, hey, link up with me and my team. We need to talk. We need to do paperwork to get you guys into the game. And so he's sending people down for the race this weekend, I think, to try to get started on that and start meeting with people, and basically he got a lot of people replying to him that are involved in these series and these teams and these drivers saying, hey, I want to be involved. Pretty neat opportunity, especially for some of these lower end teams in ARCA and trucks.
Cool. Well, before we go to the next topic, I wanted to give a shout out to Jay and the crew, which are our neighbors, just a couple of slots down with the bathroom. They are now listening to us live. So an interesting little live interaction on the show. But the next post we have, Brad, you can take this one. Tell us a little bit about Sim Racing's blind spot.
Yeah, an Instagram post here from Nick Covell. So he kind of talks about, the infatuation that sim racers have with, do we have the most accurate tire model? And, do we debate, which version of a certain car is the most accurate? But he goes on to say, a lot of the stuff that gets forgotten about is we're worried about the high end series, but most people spend their time, track racing, in a low spec Miata, or they're doing a track day and stuff like that. So, the question is, should we, in real life racing, should it be more professional based, or should it be, say autocross or your low level series? Should it be both? What should it be?
Well, the last time I checked, there's NCAA football and NFL football, and maybe Major League Baseball. I don't remember finding a brand of a game out there for AAA baseball.
Well, do you have AAA baseball within the Major League Baseball game?
I'd say it's tied to the MLB.
I think.
Oh, my bad.
I think he's on to something about the. How do we reach out to the younger generation that is not embraced racing like we do? Like my son, for example, he could care less about NASCAR and different things. But if you start talking about the, Hyundai in Veloster and, the exhaust package and the rims you can get on it and the different features and, let's put some nitrous, thing on it, and then go do, like you said, autocross. That's what this video is alluding to. Is it's an opportunity for iRacing to try to tap into that market. Would those guys come to iRacing if we had those type of cars? And he also mentioned those type of tires. Apparently, the tires mean a lot in those type of events as well.
Do those manufacturers want to work with iRacing? Is the other side of that question.
Good point.
It's like the drifting thing. I know drifting, I guess, is pretty big, and I guess there's drifting in some games, but I don't know. It's just not something I'm into. I don't have an issue with track days and stuff, but when I get into sim, I want to race the same. There's certain series that I watch in real life, and that's what I relate to, and that's what I want to watch, or that's what I want to race.
I think the bigger problem with the younger generation is they're just not into cars as much. You're not seeing people feel the need to go get out their license at 15. I know I was 15 when I got my learner's permit. I was there the day of, and then the 1 year later, I was there to get my driver's license. It's not that way anymore.
It's not. I mean, I have 3 nephews, and my brother basically had to beg them to go get their driver's license because they had no desire. I couldn't wait to get a license. My brother was the same way. He's a car guy, just like me. I couldn't wait. I mean, it's just it's a whole different generation.
And there's
Which is
not the
funny
connection.
considering they have a song called "Driver's License."
Yeah, there's not a connection between.
Go, Justin.
Now, there's not a connection between cars anymore because back in the day, you could work. It didn't take a big brain to work on a car. It was a carburetor and a small block. There wasn't much to it. Now, you got to go to school. I mean, just to work on these things.
Yeah, I think a part of it is the guys who are car guys, at least when I'm around, because I'm younger generation, it seems like they're into like, oh, it has to be like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or some overly priced car. And it's just like, well, nobody really works on those. Nobody sees those. And so it makes you, oh, I'm a car guy, but you're an exotic car guy. It makes it not really work as well in the racing community because you can't really actually drive it.
All right. This one is like literally right up our alley, Mike. The question is it time to fix the fixed setups?
That's what Michael Guest puts on X. He said, quote, fixed setup should be a main priority by iRacing. Participation, especially on fun tracks like Old Atlanta, is a night and day difference when we have a good versus a bad setup to race. Crazy how little there already is to race this official season with the track selections. And he shows a post from Kevin King, also former Coke driver, who said, hey, you guys ready for Plowfest 68 next week at Atlanta? And he shows his wear on his tires and his tire temperatures. Not looking pretty good on the right front, 63%. But guys, we have a league on Monday that we run that's fixed setup. And that league, in my opinion, has been decimated by the fixed setups. It's really ruined it.
If fixed setups went away, I don't think I'd cry one tear.
Well, the one thing I like about that league is it's a vacation from having to do setups, which we do all year during NIS. So I enjoy showing up for that league, not having to worry about the setups. And it until this year, I actually had a conversation with Alan that runs our league last week after the race. And he agreed that the setups have been terrible. But if you open the setups, that's especially on if it's like on a Monday night, that puts you in a whole different place. And there are some times when it's nice to be able to just get on there. But the fixed setups are pretty terrible. So what do you do with in a league situation? You might actually have to start having somebody tweak on the setups a little bit. Yeah, they've been pretty bad. And just a clarification, we know that Christian Chandler runs in our league, and a lot of the team members, in fact, last week were talking about how they thought he's the guy who does the setups. He is not. That is not his job at iRacing. So I just wanted to let y'all know that because he's just good. All right, he was one of the top runners in the Coke Series when he was there, and he wins everything in the majors too.
We got our pitchforks out though. We want names here. I mean, what is going wrong with the fixed setups in Oval?
They're just taking the VRS setups probably.
But the VRS are actually better. It's miserable, and it's I don't have an issue with fixed setups, but they need to be. I mean, just make them neutral. They're either. I mean, we went to Atlanta, and I mean, it was everything you could do just to hang on to the car, and then you go to the next week, and it's. I mean, it's a plow fest. I mean, you can't. You just it's not enjoyable. I don't enjoy driving a tight car on an oval for an hour and a half, 2 hours. It's not enjoyable. I don't enjoy it.
Yeah, on the roadside, I don't think they're that bad. I think most of them are drivable. But what I want to see is to make them equal. The fixed setups on one car are significantly worse, at least in my opinion, than they are on the other car. It makes it not fun to drive, your favorite car when the setup is not comparable.
So an idea for iRacing is let's provide 3 setups. Okay, 3 fixed setups that the driver can choose that are loose, neutral, tight, and that at least we have a choice of between those, and maybe we can have a decent race. They got to change something. It's really bad.
Why is that not an option?
Triple the work.
That's a really good idea, actually.
Well, I mean, they make them. Look, I've done multiple driver experiences through the years, and the cars are set up to be tight because they don't want anybody to wreck the car. And I think it's the same premise. You make the car as tight as you can so guys aren't wrecking. But again, you don't learn anything by driving a super tight car ever. You learn nothing from that. So to come up through the series and all you do is drive a tight car, you don't learn any car control with that. And then when you do get into running open setups, you've got to free the car up. I mean, everybody understands that. That's the biggest issue with the with the Gen 7s is it's the difference of trying to drive it off the right front versus off the right rear. But you've got to learn to drive a loose car, and you'll never get that in the fixed setups.
All right, William, IMSA's time attack is back.
I think William disappeared.
All right, Brad, take it.
So we had a post here from Instagram from Grid Finder and Rafa Racing Club. This is the IMSA Grid Finder Time Attack Challenge is back for season 3. So 3 rounds, 3 different tracks, 3 different car classes, something for everyone to enjoy. So this is supposed to, I guess it's starting here shortly. Haven't looked into it, but not sure if this is a part of the qualifier for something down the road. I'm sorry. iRacing vouchers, IMSA merchandise, and more. So pretty cool.
IMSA merchandise. That sounds good.
Yeah, so the top 3 finishers are going to get iRacing credits, and then every week a random person will get selected for some IMSA merchandise. I always forget to do the contests and the special events, so I made sure when you guys put this in the script to go ahead and sign up for it and actually get it done this time.
All right, let's hope you can win something.
All right, speaking of special events and signups, John, what do we have coming up?
Well, I just signed up for this about 2 minutes ago. So we have the 2nd annual iRacers Lounge podcast Clash, February the 8th, 9 o'clock Eastern. This is a race, going to be 20 laps, fixed set at Daytona. This is open to all the listeners. So guys, if you're out there listening to the podcast, you want to join the iRacers Lounge guys, get in this race with us. It's a blast.
I know we just went on a rant about fixed setups. However, super speedways usually aren't an issue.
Yep. And that's a Saturday night. Not a lot of people have racing on Saturday night. So come join us, man, and sign up so we have an idea of who's coming. But you don't even have to sign up. Just show up and be part of it. It'll be fun.
What else do we have in this week in iRacing?
I got the winter NIS series is at Dover, and we have the first week of this is the 35 week super late model dirt tour. I think we talked about this last week. So this is week 1. We'll be at Volusia Speedway Park. It'll be the super late model. So week 1 of 39. M2 Cup, which Mike has been doing nothing but racing at, is at Winton Motor Speedway. F4 FIA Regionals. Americas are at Road America. Asia Pacific is at Fuji. Europe is at Monza. And then the Global is at Road Atlanta. And then as always, you've got your Rain Masters and whatnot in the eNASCAR College Series. Ran this week at Watkins Glen. That was on Tuesday night. And eNASCAR, Porsche, Tag Heuer, Super Cup are off. So just a few weeks away from the start of those.
When is Dell Jr.'s charity race?
It's coming up. I kind of left it off here because nobody that listens to this can afford to race in that. So
It's the 29th, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Seriously, it costs several $100s to participate. So
I mean, if you want to finish, you have to make everybody else get drive-throughs.
You have to spend more money, right? All right. Podcast housekeeping. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform to make it easier for more listeners to find that podcast. Mention the podcast to your fellow drivers so they don't miss out. We would appreciate it. Check out the Discord. Get involved in the discussion. And we have our script at iRacersLounge.com. We're in regular rotation at Performance Motorsports Network. And get your merchandise at the iRacersLounge.shop. Today we were talking about the giant mouse pad, which I actually use as a gun cleaning pad because it's so big.
Also, it will not be too long before it's time to start doing fantasy again. So if you're not in the fantasy league, go sign up. All right, let's open up hardware, software, and let's talk about starting your PC from your phone. This is interesting. I remote in sometimes to register for a race, but I didn't know you could actually start the PC from your phone. Is this a real thing?
I don't think you can start it. I think you can wake it up from being asleep. I don't think you can start it.
Oh, you can start it. You can wake it up from LAN.
Yeah, so I watched this video, and basically you have to get an app. You have to configure your Windows computer to do what William mentioned, wake on LAN, which is into the Ethernet, adapter settings, and do this and that, and then it works basically. It doesn't turn it off; it only turns it on. But I thought about doing this, but it's not a big deal for me to reach over and push the button, so I didn't.
Yeah, I thought it was cool, and then I thought, when am I ever going to use this? And stopped looking at it.
But look, some people bury their computer behind the monitor and they can't get it. My original spot for the computer before I built a new one is directly behind the center, and I literally had a hard time reaching it. So this would have been ideal. I mean, I know, Bobby, you and I were talking about a remote switch, but it was a wired version, not a wireless, or like an app like this is. This would have been a much better idea than the wired version.
I mean, it's really that hard to push the button for 2 seconds.
No, I mean, I know you can get a wireless version that works like a remote, but it's actually hardware. You're putting, you can install, on the motherboard. I remember seeing that.
So, question: why are we not starting the computer before we get in the rig?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I do. I walk over, turn the computer on. That's when I sit down, put my shoes on, and all that. By the time I get doing all that, hop down, and I'm ready to go.
You've seen my
Who
monitors,
even turns
right?
the computer off? Jeez.
Yeah, I don't
I
even turn
can't.
mine off.
They're so big, I can't reach over the monitor and reach the button, basically.
I turn mine off. I'm not a big leaving it on sleep mode ever.
All right, next up, my computer just acted up a little bit on me. What do we have? We have an impressive combo or overkill, question mark. And what it is it's an Asher Racing Formula wheel with its own display, as well as an Asher Racing DDU above it.
The DDU is nice, but I don't know why you'd need both.
It makes sense if you swap out the wheels at any point and don't have a display on the different wheel.
Or if you can put the different displays on different options.
Yeah, you could.
That's true too. Yes. Never have enough data.
Pretty fancy though.
It looks good.
I have the dashboard floating in my VR every time I'm running, but really I don't look at it when I'm on the track, except I'll take a peek just to see if I'm gaining time or losing time in the delta, and that's about it. Or maybe how many laps I have. Even though I have a really busy chart, I usually don't look at it. All right, Mike, is this next one almost perfect?
Yes, she is. Oh, I mean, yes, it is.
Saving money feels right. Just like we were all thinking the same thing.
This is a video from.
No, we weren't, because my wife listens.
Oh, look, it's a video from Sarah Nochi. Now, I was kidding, of course, but no, she's a very cute young Canadian girl, I believe. But anyway, she does a video here of the Asher Racing F64 V3 wheel, which is $1,100. She does a full review and test drive. Look, this is a beautiful wheel, guys. I mean, when I was buying my Formula wheel, I had narrowed it down between the Asher Racing F64 V2, which was what was available then, or the Cube Controls F Pro that I eventually chose. And so this was my second choice on my wheel. I just like how it looks real. It looks like a real race car. It's got that metal look to it on the front, while a lot of them are carbon fiber. The buttons look like they're steel and so forth, steel covers. It just looks fantastic, super lightweight. Of course, Sarah had glowing review of it. I don't think she found anything wrong. The grip material is a little different than a lot of wheels, but that was about it. Beautiful wheel.
Do we have any cat? Do we have any cat fans in the in the podcast? Raise your hand. Wow.
That's a dangerous topic.
Silence,
Too.
crickets.
My cat likes you when you come over.
I actually am a cat fan. I just can't afford to keep them anymore. But this next one is a brand called Fat Black Cat. And they have Per Pro pedals, and it's actually got a paw print on the back. So interesting marketing. They look like load cell pedals, right? And it looks like just a single pedal showing on the
Instagram.
Instagram.
It looks like a gas pedal.
Yeah, what do you guys think of the heel plate?
There's another maker that does this, and I can't remember the name of it. It's interesting. I don't know. I move my feet around too much, so I'm not sure that I could keep my heel there. But so I went to the website. So these things are in Polish, whatever the Polish dollar is. They're just under 4,200 Polish dollars. That equates to a little over $1,000 for a two pedal set.
Oh,
It's expensive for a kitty cat on there. No, thank you.
yes.
And that's for a single pedal.
No, I think it's for two pedals. You can pre-order them now, but again, I don't know if I've got my Hello Kitty rig and everything. I maybe, but it's a hard no for me.
What's the arm on the left side of the brake? What's that doing?
I saw that too. I was like, what is the function of that? I have no idea. The thing that goes up and down?
It's probably a damper. Acts as a damper or something.
But it's working in the opposite direction.
I don't know. I haven't seen anybody review these yet, so that's another warning sign.
This eliminates the whole option of heel towing, where you're doing heel toe stuff because of the little things that come up around your feet.
So typically you would see those on a gas pedal on the right side. So when you slide your foot over, you don't slide it off the pedal.
But it's on the right and the left.
Yeah, that's a little odd. And what if it's just an option that you can put on? I can see if you had a two pedal set, if you had on the left and right of the pedals.
I guess we'll just have to wait until somebody reviews it and decides whether they're perfect or not. So we've been talking a lot about lights lately. Brad, this one should be right up your alley.
Yes, we got a new product from SimSport Gadget. This is the MA24 light mount. So the ones that I went with are 3D printed. These are not. These are, I believe they're aluminum, but a lot of adjustability built into these to where you can tighten, your arms and stuff. Same length as like the ones I bought. About twice as much, but depending on what you want to do, I mean, it's a good option. There's a lot more adjustability built into these, and you can see that you can even get stuff to put like a phone mount in and whatnot. But yeah, SimSport Gadget just continues to release a lot of cool stuff. I have bought way too much stuff from them, and I have a lot more stuff that I want to buy right now. So don't tell the wife.
Yeah, they're really easy to work with too. I've just spent a lot of money in the last 2 weeks with them on updating my rig. And one of them was the lights. They're just so easy to work with.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I mean, they're out of New Jersey. I've literally ordered stuff on a Monday, and it's here by Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, mine's usually about 3-4 days. I ordered, I've got it.
I like that it has the twist knob at the joint, to loosen it, then tighten it down, and so forth. So you can really get it in the right spot.
Yeah, I mean, like the 3D printed ones, you can do the same thing, but you're using an Allen key, to tighten it down. But from a simple, this is a lot simpler.
Where's this company based out of, Brad?
They're out of New Jersey.
Oh, there it is.
All right, I don't think we have anybody on the team running Moza right now, but this is a nice Moza display.
John,
What do you think of it? John, are you running Moza?
I am. I've got the R12.
Okay.
So this caught my attention. Moses put out the new CM2 high def racing dash, 5-inch touchscreen. It's got a customizable user interface, 10 RGB shift indicators, flag lights, and so on. Now this Moza does say that you can go outside the Moza ecosystem though with the mounting system they've got, so you don't have to run Moza. But $200, so it's it's a good price point. Not a bad looking dash. I'm actually thinking about this one now.
yeah, you can run it through. They have a pretty decent software package. I can't think of what it's called, but
Pit House.
Pit House, that's right. Where they have displays, but you can also, I know if you don't, you can get I guess there's an adapter or something you can get to where you can run StemHub. I mean, I added DDU a few weeks ago and I've been loving it. So this one's nice looking. It's a nice glass front. LEDs are built into it, so they're not an external LED. But yeah, I mean, Moza has kind of hit us with a few new products.
It looks like there's a USB hole on the side of it, the right side. Is that how it plugs in? Because it looks like it's turned on, but nothing's plugged into the hole.
Yes, you can plug it in one of those ports, and then if you're running a Moza wheelbase, there's a plug on the back of the base for it.
All right, let's stay in the Moza wheelhouse, John. We've got a new formula wheel. I'm taking a look at just the thumbnail picture, and it looks nice and fully featured.
Yeah, I haven't checked this out, but it's their FSR2 formula wheel. This goes back to the Asher thing we talked about earlier. This has a display built into it, so if you've got the DDU already, don't know that you need both, but nice looking wheel. I haven't checked the price on it yet. I don't know if anybody else did.
Yeah, so Simpit did a review on this. Sean Cole, it's about $650. So this is an update from the Moza FSR, I think 1. Biggest changes, the screen is now a touch screen, so you can actually, you can flip through it just by touch. They've added the RGB lights up top as well. Made a few changes to the wheel itself. It's got 6 paddles in the back, but it's a smaller wheel. It's 280 millimeters, which is on the small side. A lot of people do like that, but if you got bigger hands, it's going to be a little tight. He gave it a good review. I mean, the one thing I do like about Sean's is he does the good, the bad, and I guess the good, the bad, the ugly, sort of. But yeah, I mean, overall improvements. I think it's about $100 more than the original one. But yeah, I mean, if you're in the Moza ecosystem, I think it's a good option for you. And then Moza's like Sim Magic. On some of their stuff, they've kept it, a little bit lower price. Again, you're not getting the Asher quality that you're going to get when you spend, some of the money with Asher or GoBaz, stuff like that. But middle range, I think it's a good option.
It is good value. I can't think of a cheaper wheel that has the 3 paddles on the back as well as the display. So,
well, the formula wheel from Fanatec with that option is only in the 500 range with both.
The 280 millimeter is a deal killer. Don't buy a wheel that's 280, guys. Get one that's 300. Trust me.
Yeah, it's small.
It'll feel like a
Bobby,
toy.
you get the next one. Bobby, you get the next one because I know you're always about the organizing of things.
I'm lost right now.
Well, I'll pass it over to Donnie then.
Yeah, so Brad's website, SimSport Gadget, has another feature on their website. It looks like a 3D printed part, but a holder for your shoes. So as you guys were talking about that formula while I was just cruising their website, they got a lot of interesting things on there that that are worth checking out. But yeah, if you need a mount for your shoes, they got one.
Yeah, I actually was looking at this the other day as I was making up my cart. It is definitely on my list of next round items.
I actually need something for my gloves now that I've started using gloves.
They have a solution for that
yes,
as well.
they do. That's on my list as well.
I have that. It's perfect. It does the job.
Would you say it's perfect?
Perfect.
Wait, why do we want our shoes attached to the rig? I don't.
I
Why?
don't. I mean, mine are over by the chair. That's where I sit down to put them on.
Cleanliness.
Well, my
Tidiness.
chair is by the rig, so it would be handy to have them there out of the way.
Mine go under my pedal tray. I don't know.
Mine sit by the recliner, and I put them on there, and then that's what I.
I've got a novel idea. Mine go on my feet.
Not all the time.
So you wear them 24/7?
No, but they are. It's the same shoes that I wear for day to day.
Oh, see, I
Ugh.
don't. I have cart shoes that I use.
Maybe that's why you had bad luck last year. Maybe you should change your shoes for this year.
All right, we have another sim formula wheel. William, you get to take this one.
This is a Sim Europe walkthrough. It was about the exhibition over in Europe. I'll be honest, I kind of skimmed through it and stopped watching because it made me sad that we don't have anything like that over here. You see all the manufacturers and all the fancy sim rigs set up to try and motion and new product. And yeah, hopefully the one that's coming later this year is really good because we desperately need something like that over here.
It looks like it's fun. Yeah.
Do you think iRacing bothers sending a group out there to set up a booth?
This
Haven't
one,
heard of
no,
it.
I don't think so. I think they go to the one in Germany, like they send people there, but they don't have a booth.
Yeah, I mean, you've got other manufacturers that are running iRacing. So, I mean, that was the way what this one was. They had, I think Overtakes was running iRacing on one rig. They had something else. I mean, they had 3 different sims running on their rigs they had set up. But no, I mean, it's pretty neat. We had another quick shot at the new Sim Labs direct drive. That don't have much info on that still, but yeah, it's kind of neat. Again, we need one here. I know we were supposed to have one in Austin. I think the one in Chicago right now is still on, but come on, guys, if we do get one, we got to support it.
Real quick, did you see the post I made, Mike, in the team chat for production of the Toyota setup that's out here at the track? If you scroll back up a little.
I did,
We're
yeah.
gonna-
We had a rig set up. Somebody was racing.
Yeah, this is in the fan zone. How does that FOV look to you? I was hoping we could get it on the script, but I wanted you to have a look at that because we were going to try it at some point.
It's not
They're the only
too
ones who are.
bad.
Yeah, they're the only ones who are running on iRacing. Everybody else was running Forza or something else.
The trick is how you can tell is you can't see the dash, so that's your first indicator. It's probably semi close.
Yep.
Yep. They had the force feedback turned down really low too, because these guys are driving pretty easily with just one arm. But if you can throw that out on the script, Brad, later, that'd be cool.
I'll put it up there.
So we jumped a little out of order there. Next, interesting, 4090 performance, but only for $600. What do we think of this one, Brad?
Yeah, Instagram post here from UFD Tech. So we talked last week, I guess a week before last, whatever it was, when they announced the new the 5070s and stuff. And he kind of walks through this and compares it side by side, and really kind of calls it out that you're not going to get the same performance. And the way that they're getting around this is they're using AI generated frames in order to do it. So, I don't know. I'm happy with what I've got right now. I've got a 4070, and it's been fine. But yeah, I don't know how the whole AI generated frames and stuff works. It's a little bit over my head.
Yeah, I think our computer guys on the team called this out pretty correctly when it was announced.
Yeah. I've seen multiple video posts from other people as well saying that it's not really going to be the same. Because when you start looking at the specs of the card, because they're saying the 4090 and the 5070 are going to have similar performance, but you look at how much RAM does each card have. Like, it's like half the RAM that the 4090 has. And so that alone tells you a lot about how realistic it may be. And so the whole AI thing where it adds 2 frames for every real frame, so it basically triples your frame rate. Is that realistic in iRacing? I don't know.
I would. I don't know. I mean, I think in a game where I'm walking through a world, probably not a big deal. I don't think I want AI generated frames when I'm side by side with somebody on the track.
The other thing too,
I-
yeah, that's mostly on a single monitor.
Well, everything they do is on a single monitor. That's the biggest issue too.
I'm a little speechless on this next one.
Like, I found this, David. So this is called Muzzle the Gamer, and it's really, and I put it up here so we could discuss. Is there an application in sim racing for this? Because this is really designed for the shoot 'em up gamers, the Call of Duty guys who live with other people and game late into the evenings. Well, they put on this muzzle. It's like a mask, but it's really heavy duty, that allows them to scream or yell like when they get shot, and be as loud as they want to be when they're in their game and their Call of Duty, and it doesn't disrupt anybody else. It all just sounds a little muffled when it, from the outside, and so you don't disturb your others who might be asleep in bed while you're doing Call of Duty. Do we need this for game, sim racers who have, loved ones sleeping nearby?
I don't know. It'd probably protect you from COVID as well.
Maybe my 15-year-old needs it because
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe when I was 12, but not anymore.
I will say though, this guy 5 years ago, I watched a tutorial on how to build a computer, and it was one of his videos that got me through it, and it was actually pretty damn good.
Nice.
So this is our zoo episode because we had cats earlier. Now we have muzzles. The title idea has to be muzzles. I'm sorry, we're going with that.
It honestly looks ridiculous. Like if you were to walk in on somebody and they turn around and look at you with that on their face.
I feel like I'm looking at a trailer for some horror movie.
Hannibal Lecter.
We'll go with horror.
Look.
And when he wrecks you, he goes. All right. AI gamer co-pilot. Tell us about this one, John.
Yeah, Razer, which we probably all use some Razer equipment, keyboards, mice, things like that. They've got a project AVA going, which I think is kind of interesting, but they call it the Ultimate AI Gaming Co-Pilot. So what this thing does is when you're in your game or your sim, whatever it is you're doing, you've got somebody in your ear telling you what to do. Now, the example they give in here is a shooter game. I don't know if it's Call of Duty, but if you get the AI voice telling you where the opponent is, helping you out. So I'm interested to see how this will translate into helping us with things like iRacing. Is it going to tell us where your braking point's at, or tell you you're going into a corner, too fast, too slow? But I think this is kind of the future of where we're going.
Just put a second seat there and put your wife in it.
Why?
You want somebody to tell you what to do.
Well, don't we? What is it? AI Trophy? Isn't
Trophy AI? Yeah, it already does this.
AI,
yeah.
But look,
I yell at myself enough. I don't need anybody else yelling at me.
Mike, you can use it for pit strategy.
Yeah, what about making your pit stop adjustments? You're like, hey, take me down 2 clicks.
They already have that.
Do
Yeah,
they?
you can do
Yeah,
that.
crew chief.
Yep.
It's a possible. It doesn't always work great, but it's possible.
Joe
Look,
had it working pretty well.
The way I look at this, though, I mean, Razer, as you mentioned, is a keyboard company, and they've developed this AI that works with Call of Duty, for example. But can a third party like Razer, come out and say, okay, we've changed our, project AVA to include iRacing now, and it's going to do X, Y, Z, and it works through the API somehow. I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting concept.
All right, this next one, this is that expensive shifter that Joe has, I think, but is this the H pattern version that can switch between H pattern and sequential?
This looks like it's
Yes.
both.
There's a thing on the front you twist to basically switch it from H to sequential. You have to loosen the tension a little, you twist the housing, and it switches just like that. But this guy, Dusoswa, I love his enthusiasm, as he unboxes and, oohs and ahs over the equipment. I have that same passion for sim racing equipment, especially high end sim racing equipment, which this surely is.
So Lawrence with Sim Coaches has this one on that new rig he built, that Dale Jr. inspired rig. And he's aiming to be $400 cheaper with the same design type, like the billet aluminum and whatnot. So it just looks good.
It does. That's part of it. I mean, it's the way it looks, not only how it feels, but just, it's like the bazooka.
All right, for this next one, we really just need to have Brad's wife come on the show.
Yeah,
It's
so
right below it.
Yeah, so this was the updated video from Sim Coaches of them doing the actual build on this and who they built it for. So it's pretty neat. They kind of walk you through as they go about and then actually to delivery. So we talked about this last week. All we had was, I think, just a static picture of it. But yeah, I mean, it's a great looking rig. Like I said, I sent that to the wife, and she's like, spend the money. But that's pretty cool.
Did they say what the price tag was on this?
No, they didn't. I mean, look, I looked at like there's a couple of them out of Charlotte when I was getting back into stuff, and all in, you're looking like 15,000. I bet you this is probably 15 to 20, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, delivery, labor, personal touch, training. This is the full package, when you go through Sim Coaches. But look, guys, if anyone's buying a rig these days in 2025, is there any reason at all not to pick some bright color? I mean, the color is just pops, man. That red looks great.
Black is good.
I like my black.
Yeah, I agree.
You get a scratch, but you can grab a Sharpie and you can hide it really quick.
But I do like this one. This one is nice.
So this next one, Windows 11, has almost as many instances of audio inputs as we have as hosts on the show today.
54 instances of audio inputs from his LG UltraGear monitor showing in his Windows Device Manager.
Yeah, something's wrong.
But is it? I mean, is this? I think it's normal behavior these days when you update Windows that all of your audio settings get trashed. I mean, or is it just me?
I haven't had any issues.
I've never run into any yet.
It used to happen a lot with iRacing. Every time it would come out, you had to reset all your iRacing audio settings. But it hasn't been happening to me lately either. All right, we kind of sort of already covered this one, didn't we? In this, or no, this is something different, but it looks pretty similar. We got another DDU. All right, Brad, you're the DDU guy.
Yeah, this is Simutex SDU 3 by 5 inch display. Again, kind of, yeah, this one's neat. It's got a few more RGBs on the sides. So you've got 7 on the sides and 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 across the top. It's nice looking. Again, 5 inches I think is a perfect size. That's what mine is. Wouldn't go any bigger. There's some 6.8s out there, but I think they just get too big at that point. But yeah, 290. I think is that euros, pounds. I never understand all the little
That's
signs.
pounds.
Pounds.
One of our listeners sent this over on the Discord, guys, and he actually said highly recommended it.
Yeah, I mean it looks good. I can't complain. I mean, there's so many options. I mean, there newer ones that are glass fronts and stuff. Mine's I think it's a Vocore screen. That's what the bulk of them are. But no, I mean, the color looks good. Again, like I said, I've been super happy with mine. One thing I did like with mine is on my the RBGs on the side. Their setup is for radar. So if the car's on the right ones light up, and if the car's on the left ones light up. So that's helped me a lot. It makes it a lot easier.
All right, the next one is actually one we've already covered. It's another Instagram of the Moza DDU. All right, so that wraps hardware. Let's hit results, Mike.
Yeah, let's start with the 24 hours of Daytona. A few of us put our entries in to talk about our personal races, so we'll go through those. I got P3, got in the car with about 6 hours left. We were already P3. Had an uneventful race. It was foggy. It did stay dry the whole time. I ran 2 double stints. I took a break in between. Great race. Chris Waldron, P15. He said, I had a great experience all week. It was fun to get practice and bond with teammates. Got to race in the rain for the first time at 1 a.m. Eastern to 4 a.m. and absolutely loved it. I wanted to bring the car back with 0X, added but had 2 fender benders. This is my second 24, first finish, and I can't wait until next year. Proud of the resiliency of this group. William, you had P3.
Yeah, so I raced with 3 other guys from the Grassroots Racing League. Like I said last week, this was my first 24, and I had a blast. I learned a lot, both on the track and strategies for grabbing a nap and everything. We had an overall clean race. We only had 1 meatball, and just unfortunately, after one of the rain stints, a guy got a little wide and lost it into the wall. We were chasing down. We were in P2, chasing down P1 at the time. We got back to P3 though after that, and I was really proud of the effort from the guys. Want to give a quick shout out to the Grassroots guys. We I think had 5 teams enter across 3 GT3s, an LMP2, and a GTP. We ended up with 2 podiums and a win. So good job, guys.
Well done. Yeah, Tyler Williamson puts P15 in class, P25 overall. Spent a week practicing for the event, only for half of it to be wet. Disappointed by the weather forecast, but had a great time with GT3 team.
Well, let me jump in. I didn't type anything in because I've been on the road. I was on the same team with my GT3, or not GT3, GTP, and P3. It was we did have a clean race. We stayed under the incident limit. We were never in the garage for any major repairs. I think one of our guys had a tiny little fender bender that was like 11 seconds of damage. No rain. We ran clean, and like I said before, the garage travels at 0 miles per hour. So that was one of the main reasons we stayed up in third. I did a lot of the racing. Me and Riley did a lot of the racing because both Joe and Mike's time slots were pretty limited.
Okay, and then Brad P15.
Yeah. So we we had a good race again. I ran headed up the GT3 car. For a lot of the guys, first time really in the rain, they did a good job. And I kind of talked about my frustration with the weather, but we had some idiots in our split. To be honest with you, I got run off track twice by the same car that was multiple laps down. Just super frustrating. got plowed by GTP that was an idiot. But yeah, we started 14th. I started the car, drove up to 5th. Justin got in the car. We were in good shape, but unfortunately, he had a disconnect, and we lost 2 or 3 laps there. And then the rain came, and we just struggled to kind of stay where we were. We had some offs, and but overall, again, at one point I think we were P22. I got in the car, drove back up to I think 17th or something, and we ended up finishing 15th. So really happy with the guys. They did a good job. Again, for a bunch of guys that aren't real road guys, John included. They did a good job. So cannot complain.
Okay, and then GT4, Donnie.
Yeah, GT4's at Barcelona this week. The most exciting part about this week, so I've turned my chat on the last couple weeks. Thought I'd give that a go. My first race, so rain's been off and on all week for Barcelona in either of the series, but it's fucking raining. It's raining, and the track says lightly wet. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to put my wets on. All of us, 6 of us chose wets. The rest of them chose dries. They were arguing on grid on taking wets and dries. I'm like, there's like standing water right in front of us. What are we arguing about? In my mind, I'm not going to say that. Also, let's stop asking each other tire strategy. Let's let the other people figure it out. And anyway, the 6 cars that selected wets, we finished in the top 6. The dries slid around, did their thing. I'm getting to the point now for when I'm in top split. That's where I'm unfortunately having to race during the late nights on the West Coast, that I'm outpacing second splits. If I can ever get down to a second split race, I'll have a shot at a win. But for the GT4 LMP3 multi-class race, a P7 and a podium this week so far.
All right, and I ran the BMW M2 new rookie series. I believe it was Lime Rock, qualified 4th, finished P2. Did make a couple of mistakes. I probably could have won that race. That one hurt. Next
He's
up,
not on the script. Oh, go ahead. Finish your local stuff.
Yeah, qualified 2nd. Ended up wrecked out on that one. And then we switched tracks to Winton Motor Raceway. I qualified 3rd, got dumped in the first turn on the first lap. I fell back to the end, but finished P10. There was another start that I got also wrecked out of. So, but having a lot of fun with that car.
Yeah, Brian's here. Why don't you tell us about Year 24?
Oh, yeah, no. We had one of those rainy splits, and yeah, we finished P2. We finished P2 and lost due to computer crashing 2 times. So, yeah, had a lot of fun with that, but I'm really happy to finish P2 in the Daytona 24.
Nice run.
How about Greg? You guys ran the other GTP, didn't you?
Well, unfortunately, we probably spent more time in the garage than we did on track. We had everything that could happen to you, it happened to us. I don't even know how to explain how bad that was. That is the worst showing at Daytona I've ever had. Being wrecked by the leader, wrecking the leader, getting mixed up in a whole bunch of stuff. It's just an odd race to have that many problems with a pretty dry race.
All right. And then moving to IMSA, Brad, P11.
Yeah, so this week the IMSA's at Nürburgring. I've only gotten 1 start. I like this track. I'm just not very quick here. So it ended up being last car in top split. I'm typically about a second to a second and a half off the fast guys, but this week it's closer to 3 seconds. Ended up P11, started I think 14th. It's probably where I should have finished. Other than some guys ended up with some incidents, but I was just slow. I don't understand it. Again, just a super frustrating race. I think I'd like to get one in the rain because I typically do better in the rain. So I'm kind of hoping I'll maybe run another one tomorrow night. And I'm hoping it'll rain, to be honest with you. I think I'm actually a little bit closer on time when it's wet.
All right, William, IMSA, P9, Daytona.
Yeah, so I raced Daytona on Sunday before it changed over. This was also the only other race I got to do this week because of my work schedule. I was by far the lowest rated car in the split with 2.3, and I was racing 2.6, 2.7 drivers. It actually ended up being really good, though, because it apparently taught me some things. I was able to get my lap times down into the low 44s in race trim, and that's not something I've been able to do until then. So Really good. I finished P9 out of 20, so I'll take that all day.
All right, and then Grassroots Racing League.
Did not race because of work.
Okay, that jumps us to final thoughts. David Hall.
I'm proud of our podium result. I'm glad I'm getting to hang out here with Brian and all the Mad Sim guys at the race. We also got to eat with Bobby last night over at PF Chang's. That was nice, and I'm sure Bobby's going to be back at the track tomorrow. So getting to meet in these live events is really fun, and it's cold here, man. The drive was actually pretty nasty. I got diverted by Google Maps off of the freeway just south of Atlanta and drove on ice for probably 2 or 3 hours before it finally started to clear up again. So that's going 20, 25 miles an hour. Just being very careful with the moves. They don't have, it's even worse than in Arkansas. They don't have any hardware down here to manage snow because it never happens. I talked to a guy I talked to a guy right at the state line of Florida at the gas station. It's like, so is this like the first time y'all have seen snow? He's like, oh no, the last time was 1989. So that's how rare it happens in this area.
All right, have a good race. Greg Hectus, final thought.
I don't really have much. Of just a lot of disappointments from the 24 for all that build up for it, but c'est la vie. We'll do it again, and hopefully, kind of just waiting for the NASCAR season to start and get going here, get going with everything in iRacing. I feel like we're on like a lull right now.
The calm before the storm, as I call it. Bobby Jonas, final thought.
It was nice to actually sit down and have dinner with a teammate again last night. In the middle of a chassis rebuild. I've been ordering a lot of stuff off of Etsy. A lot of it from Sid Sports Gadget, and then I ran into an issue with one of the new light bars being a different mount size, and they were awfully quick to work with it and figure it out and get back to me. And just want to give a shout out to those guys for being a great place to buy from.
All right, Brad Wren, final thought.
It's the real Daytona 24, so I'm looking forward to being hunkered down in front of the TV for most of the weekend. Got the casters sitting over here in the box. I think I'm going to try to tackle that this weekend and get those put on the rig. I thought I was going to be able to get a floor jack under the rig. That's not going to happen. So I'm going to have to get creative. It's going to be fun trying to put casters on here when the rig's fully built, but I accept the challenge. So yeah, just like Bobby said, I've got some other stuff I want to try to do to the rig. I'm planning to do a full rewire probably at the end of this when we get to week 13. So I've added a bunch of stuff. So I'm a fanatic when it comes to neatness with all my wires. So I think I'm gonna end up tearing everything apart during that week and redoing all the wiring just because it's a rat's nest behind the center monitor. But yeah, just like Greg said, I mean, it's, I got a couple weeks before NASCAR starts and looking forward to that. And, we'll get back in the grind. So super happy to see all the guys on the pod. It makes it enjoyable for a lot of people on here. So it's good times.
All right. Bryant Lucas, thanks for joining us on the show. What are your final thoughts?
Just really excited to be at the Daytona 24. Florida is extremely interesting as a kid who's never been out of Utah much. The feels like I'm walking through water half the day. So we're going to go continue to walk through water the rest of the weekend.
All right. Have a great race. Donnie Spiker, final thought.
Yeah, just excited for racing to get going again. We had the MX5 first race today, so that's always exciting. I have a Spartan 5K at the drop of the green flag for the 24 this weekend, so I got to run that and then catch up on it on my way back up the hill up at home. But other than that, just excited for real life racing to get going.
All right, very good. John Curley, final thought.
Hey, it's been a slow winter for iRacing for me. It was good to get into 24. Those team events are great. I wish for the sake of my teammates, I was a better road course guy, could bring more to the table, but I had fun anyway. It makes me want to do more road racing, by the way. Got a project this weekend. I've got a new quad monitor stand to put together and get the quads up. So looking forward to that project.
All right. That's a great place to put Joel Real Timing on that fourth monitor. William Westbrook, final thought.
Yeah, just had a blast in my first 24-hour. That's fun. I can't wait to do more of them. Happy to be back here with you guys, and hopefully I get to do more than one race this week. And also looking forward to the real Daytona 24. Hope to get to watch much of that.
Okay, my final thoughts. Man, so proud of our team finishing P3 overall in the Daytona 24. Relief, as usual, that I'm not the one who wrecked the car, that I was able to not even give up a spot. I'm sure I gave up some time on the track to some of the guys, but I was able to bring it home safe, and that was goal accomplished. Like David said, you're going pretty slow when you're in the garage. So kudos to everybody on the team. Yeah, I'm just waiting for the Daytona 500. I'm not really racing much. I'm doing the M2 once or twice a day, maybe. The other thing that's happened this weekend, TikTok drama. I mean, I was live on TikTok streaming our 24 late around midnight when they pulled the plug on us, and our First Amendment rights have been violated. And about 12, 18 hours later, I was able to go live again, and it's a relief. And our friend Tony Rochette is joining me live on TikTok, so make sure to follow him. He's going to have the parrot cam on his TikTok. So with that, hey, we'll see you on the track later. All right, title ideas.
Perfect race. I can't see the sheet. What are the suggestions?
All right, number 1, make iRacing great again. Muzzles for all, number 2. 3, perfect race. All right, vote. 1, 2, or 3, everybody.
3.
1.
2.
2.
1.
3.
That's a tie. Who hasn't called?
Brian's voting 3 as well.
Donnie?
3.
All right, 3 it is.
Yeah,
Good show, guys.
I'd like to say that make racing great again for something else.
Uh,
All right, good show, guys. Great turnout.
All right.
Although if 2 does
Let me know when I'll start the download. I'm only using Audacity, so it's going to be slower. I didn't install Pro Tools on this laptop.